Hello, third grade. For this project, we're going to be creating Native American corn art. So November is Native American Heritage Month. We are going to be learning about why corn was so important to the Native Americans. So in my Google slide, if you read it, it talks about all the different uses for corn, such as they use it to make dolls, baskets, they used it for almost every meal, and they didn't waste any parts of the corn. And you can see in the Google slide, there are samples of the corn husk dolls that they made, of the baskets, and there's also a video showing how Native Americans are saving vegetables from extinction. It's very interesting, so make sure you watch that. So for our Native American corn art, we will need a piece of blank white paper and a pencil to start. And then later on we will need a marker. I recommend using a black marker. If you don't have Sharpie, you can just use any black marker. And I used oil pastels for mine. I know not everyone has oil pastels at home, and that's okay. You can also use marker, crayon, colored pencil, okay? And in my background, I used watercolor paint. If you do not have paint at home, like I said, you could just color it with whatever you have, okay? All right, so we're gonna start with our blank piece of paper and a pencil. First thing we're going to do is we're just going to draw the shape of our corn with our pencil. Okay, so it's kind of like an oval shape. It gets a little thicker at the top and gets thinner as it goes down. Okay, so after you do that, we're going to draw all the husks of the corn, so they're a little bit wavy. And there's a bunch coming out of the top here. Okay, so after we have that, I'm going to do the next step in marker, just so you can all see it better, but you all are going to continue using pencil. That way, if you need to erase anything, you can. So, for the pieces of the corn, after you have this shape drawn here, you're going to want to make these square-like shapes. So I'm just doing the first row here. So as you could see, it's starting to look like corn a little bit, and I'm just following. I'm not going outside of this line too much. I'm just following that outline to help us. Okay, and you're just gonna keep going. And they don't all have to be the same size. And then you're just going to go row by row and just make those pieces for the corn. So this step might take a little bit, but that's okay. Just take your time and go nice and slow. Just do one row at a time. So remember, they're like square-like shapes. They're like almost like rounded at the corners of them, if that helps. Okay, and you're gonna keep going. I'm not gonna keep going because then you'll be watching me draw these forever. I'm just gonna move on to the next step just so you know what it is. So, after you draw all those pieces for the corn, you're gonna take your oil pastel, or like I said, if you don't have them, use what you have, and you're gonna fill in one piece at a time. So I recommend once you are using one color to hop around and get all those pieces you want with that color. So I'm using purple, I'm just hopping around, using a little purple here, a little over here. I'm just jumping around, and then you'll move on to your next color. Next I'll do yellow, so I'm gonna use a little yellow here, a little over here. Just jumping around with that yellow. Use any kind of colors that you want in yours. And like I said, this step might take a while filling it all in, but that's okay. Just go nice and slow. If you need to take a break, you can take a break and come back to it. I will make sure I give you plenty of time to finish this project on Google Classroom. Okay, see, I'm just hopping around with each color. Now I'll be using some blue. I'm gonna hop around over here. All right, so as you can see, just hopping around with those different colors. Eventually, it'll look something like this. And for the background, I just painted with a little bit of blue, purple, and red watercolor. If you do not have watercolor at home, use whatever you want. You could use crayon, marker, colored pencil. If you have different kinds of paint, you can use that, okay? As long as you're making your corn, then you will be all set. So when you're all done, make sure you upload a photo of your corn to Google Classroom so I could see that you completed the assignment. And I would love to see your artwork as well. All right, bye, third grade.